I am Lady Charmaine, and my guest today is a multi-talented actress, singer, and producer. She has starred in movies like Think Like a Man, Jumping the Broom, and Stomp the Yard. And she is an inspiration to young women around the world with her strong morals and values. She's here today to talk about her career and how you don't have to compromise your beliefs to get what you want. Help me welcome the NAACP-nominated actress, Miss Meagan Good Franklin, to the show. How you doing, Meagan?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
You know, I had to just throw that in there, girl.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, legally, it is Meagan Good Franklin.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, look, praise the Lord. And the reason why it's Meagan Good Franklin, because my girl walked down that aisle on, I believe it's June the 16th. Is it June the 16th? What day did you get married? June the 16th.
Yep, June the 16th.
Yes, and married the ever so handsome Mr. Devon Franklin. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Now, Meagan, it's interesting because God is moving your career in such a rapid pace. Because, girl, you are now on boxes of hair care in Walmart. It was so funny. As I was walking down the aisle, a lady grabbed the box and she was with her daughters. She said, that's I said, oh, Meagan Good? Yeah. So how did you hook up with... How did you hook up with a Luster Silk Pink brand Smooth Touch to be their spokesmodel and the new face for their line?
It's interesting because they had reached out to me and they asked me if I'd be interested, and I was like, of course I'd be interested. It's a black-owned company that's been around for years and years and years, and they've kept their integrity and the way that they carry themselves, and also the image that they put out there, to teenage and young women and older women. I think that they have just been very classy always. And so, the talk that we had was, adding a little bit of edge to the brand, but keeping with the classiness, and just, having a little bit of fun with it. And so that's what we did. They were very open to ideas that I had, the photo shoot, and, for me to bring in my own kind of style with the kind of boots and jeans and stuff I like to wear. People know I'm kind of known for always dressing overly casual, even when I'm supposed to be dressed up. But it was just fun, it was a lot of fun, and I'm really excited because they're connected to so many different charities for kids and for young women, and that's, right up my lane and right up my alley for what is most valuable and important to me,
Well, that's a blessing because you are an inspiration to so many young ladies. Did you ever think that you would be in a position to truly inspire young women?
Growing up, I went through kind of a lot of so many silent battles that I had no idea what God had in store for me. But I had gotten saved when I was 12, and I knew that, whatever it was and whatever the season, that it was something positive and it would be something that was good for me. But it wasn't until I got into my early 20s that I started to realize that everything I had experienced as a young woman was a part of my testimony and was a part of the reason that I would be so effective talking to young girls and saying, no, I've been through this too, I've been through that too, this happened to me too, this is that, da, 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 da. And a lot of times young girls are shocked to find out some of the things that I've experienced. But, now it's such a blessing, and even the obstacles that I come up against nowadays, it's like, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for every part of my testimony, every part of the journey, and everything that, rather up or down, will allow me to be more effective and influential for the kingdom. So it's good.
Because you are not afraid to share your faith. That's what I like about you, that you are truly a living testimony and you're open about the Lord Jesus Christ. Because sometimes you have some people when they're in the industry, they don't want to be so open because we know that there's a lot of changes, liberal changes that's taking place in the industry, but you still stand in your faith, and I truly commend you. Has it been difficult at times for you because of your morals and values and the stance that you take in Christianity? Has it been difficult?
It can be hard at times because, people get a little confused. I have no problem with being sexy. I have no problem with being in touch with my sexuality. But when it comes to certain things and certain movie roles and certain parts, if it's about the story, the person learns a lesson. Even if I'm playing the bad guy is learning a lesson. For instance, like Parker on the game, everyone's like, if you're a Christian, why would you play that role? And I was like, because what you don't understand is it's not about the woman being an adulterer. It's about the woman being broken. It's about the woman being abused. It's about the woman having no self-confidence. It's about her needing something more than just being judged. And if somebody could actually take a moment and see her for what is below, the surface, then, you find during the arc of the show that Parker has been, and mentally and emotionally abused by her husband. And in the end, she ends up leaving him. And for me, that was the arc. Let me not judge the person's character, because there's too many women out there like that, and people, make them, instead of helping them through and making them better, they judge and criticize, and that makes people get more stuck in their ways because they feel alone. And the reason they do these things to begin with is not because they're bad people, it's because of circumstance or experience or things that have, misguided them, and they really just need help. So anyway, with that being said, people oftentimes misunderstand where I'm coming from, so they'll expect that I'm okay with playing a certain kind of character or doing a certain amount of nudity or whatever it is. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. They're like, but you do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah, that's because that's between me and God. That's what God wanted me to do.
Right. Okay. Because you've made a huge decision in the industry that kind of set ablaze all of the bloggers and all the online sites when you decided that you were going to be celibate, when you made that decision. And then after you made the decision, look, God blessed you totally. You, of course, from Mr. Franklin. But tell me about that decision when you came and you decided to make the decision and then you went public with that decision. How empowering was that for you?
It was very empowering. I mean, I knew once I made the public proclamation that there was no going back. And I also knew, before that, for me, it was, I am a Christian. I love the Lord. I'm trying to do everything else by the book. I do fall short daily. But God really, really knows my heart, and he knows my heart is truly for him. So let me go a little bit deeper. Let me try a lot harder. Let me take another step and do something not that I haven't done before, but let me just truly, truly stick to it and stand for it and be public about it. And that's what I did. And within about 10, 11 months, I was engaged.
And I was going to ask you, and so from the moment you made the public declaration, how long did it take for you, to meet Devon? I know you got engaged shortly after, but how long? You probably already knew him maybe, but when you guys finally officially got together and then the Lord said, that's your husband, how long was that process?
I had met Devon about 6 years back on a general meeting because I did this independent film that was Christian-based, but it was very kind of controversial in the sense of in your face and honest. And he really liked the film, and so he brought me in his office. We had a good chat. He said, look, I'm on your team, whatever you need. I want you to win, girl. Good luck. Cut to 6 years later, I was cast in Jump in the Broom that he was the executive on. And at that time, I was in a relationship, kind of on the tail end of it ending. And when I got out of that relationship, I was like, Lord, I know that you want me to have a man of God. I know that you have something very specific for me. I don't feel like I'm honoring you fully with my body and with the way that I'm living, and I need to do better. So I'm giving this to you, and I'm trusting, whenever my husband comes along, it's 5 years, fine, whatever. I'm focusing on you. You are my lover. And within a couple months, God told me that Devon was my husband. And it was almost like 9 months before we started dating.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? Now, did you know Devon at the time was a Christian, not only a Christian, but a minister as well? Did you know that about him?
Girl, I didn't know any of that. I knew that he loved the Lord because that was very apparent in our meeting. I had no idea that he was a minister. I probably would have been more intimidated if I'd known that. But we had already told me that he was my husband. That's what I was expecting. So when someone did tell me that he was a minister, I wasn't intimidated because it didn't matter. I knew he was my husband.
Wow. now. And so God was setting you up to also be a minister's wife. And it's just amazing how he does it. You made the commitment. That's what I want to touch on, your testimony, and how when you made that decision for the Lord to remain celibate, and then he brought you, your husband in because you waited. And a lot of people, they don't know there's a blessing in the waiting. You said, Lord, I'm going to make this commitment. And I know a lot of times people don't realize it can be a difficult decision, but it'd be the best decision that you've ever made in your life. And take it from Meagan good. She did. And then he found a good thing. Ain't that what the Bible says? He who finds a wife finds a good thing. And so he found Meagan. Good. And so now I read about your well, I don't know if I read it or if I heard a story in doing my research that your wedding dress, you wanted purple on your wedding dress, and some designers didn't want to do that. Tell us about why purple was so important on your wedding dress.
Purple, it's my favorite color. To me, it represents kingdom, and it represents royalty, and it represents God. And so, growing up a lot when I'd be in church, everything that would be hanging in the church would be purple. And then as a young woman, I was never very girly. I was always kind of a tomboy, but not quite, the boy. So for me, purple was the alternative to pink. Pink was not happening. No princess anything, no princess, nothing. I wanted to kind of even in between, and now it has more meaning to me than ever before, but it's always been my favorite color. And I wanted my dress to be, not completely traditional, which is to me a representation of me and me and Devon. With my relationship with God, I'm not completely, the traditional preacher's wife and all that stuff, but I am the preacher's wife. God says so. And he wants me to be the way that I am, and he's made me to be a bit controversial, and he's made me to be a different kind of woman, because I'm kind of women, and that is the woman who, has had the dark past, the woman who has been through a lot, the woman who has been abused, the young girl who can't speak to anyone, has ran away from home. All of these women who are kind of outcasts and are kind of the underdogs. God made me to appeal to them specifically. So,
wow. Well, that's a blessing that you know who you are and who God has called you to be, and who he called you to be to different people. You're all of those things. That's a blessing. That is really a blessing. Now, I know you've been married only for a short time. So what kind of adjustments do you think you've had to make? Because a lot of people don't realize. I'll share my story. I've been married for 14 years, and my husband is also a minister. We used to pastor a church. And it's
wow.
And it's so funny because, see, when my husband and I, when we got married, I didn't realize how much of a difference it was going to be when you bring two different people's backgrounds together, because I was this very independent kind of woman. You have your bank account, I have my bank account, and he folded clothes differently than the way I folded clothes. I did not realize we were going to have to come together and bring all of this stuff together. I mean, no, my mama taught me how to fold clothes this way. He was like, my mama taught me how to fold clothes this way. And so the linen closet would look different. What kind of adjustments did you have to make? And people don't even realize those small, minor adjustments. So when we used to do marriage counseling, we would tell them just the small little things. The way you may put things in the cabinet might be different. Some people might put all the corn together, all the green beans. Some people just put all the canned goods in the cabinet and say, look, they're in there. If you need another can of corn, just go through and find one. So what adjustments did you have to make?
I think the first thing that you said was the biggest adjustment. I am incredibly independent. I am about my purpose. I am, very strong-willed, kind of, hard-headed. And so I've had to learn, to submit. I've had to learn to include him. Mm-hmm. I've had to learn that my purpose is our purpose as a married couple and as a partnership. I've had to learn that it's okay to ask him for advice. It's okay to ask for help, which I'm not used to. Mm-hmm. I've been acting by the grace of God consistently since I was a kid. So, I know how to provide for myself, and I have been the provider in a lot of ways in my life with my family. So, learn that it's okay to let somebody take care of you. Or, mm-hmm. I have a movie project, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go to him because I don't want people to be thinking all kind of crazy stuff and making assumptions of why I married him. Or do you know how people do when they don't understand especially when they don't really know God. But even if they do know God, they see Hollywood and they make an assumption about two people's relationship. And even though I know that that's not the truth and God knows, and that's really all that matters, perception, unfortunately. And because I've been subjected to so much scrutiny throughout my career, and I've often felt attacked, and I've often felt, the victim and had a chip on my shoulder. It took me a long time to allow God to work that out in me. So there, people thinking certain things, and so I initially I wouldn't ask him for help. I wouldn't ask him for advice. I'm trying to make a movie happen. I don't ask him to help me find funding or anything, and he really had to sit me down and say, dude, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. I'm your husband. We're a team. Period, point blank. That's the bottom line, and God put us together to make moves, whatever those moves may be to build his kingdom. Don't, let that be slowed down or sacrificed because of what people think. Who cares what they think, And I think, just with him being a preacher, to marry me, who kind of has been, in a lot of people's eyes, a sex symbol or sex or whatever, for him to really see and understand my heart and know who God has made me to be, has brought a lot of healing, and it's also brought a lot of clarity and comfort and confidence in how we move. And to know that, he's being subjected to scrutiny too, just for marrying me in some communities. It gives me strength, and it makes me excited because it is me and him against the world.
Amen. That was absolutely beautiful. What was one of the things that you did not expect? Because you got married. I got married when I was 27, and you got married just before your 31st birthday. Your 31st birthday. And so you were much older. And so, of course, when you're older, you're a little more, a little more independent. What was one of the things in marriage that you did not expect? Because sometimes we go into marriage, with this whole little fairy tale kind of thing, and then you had an eye-opening experience. Tell me about that.
It is, but it's been all positive. The only thing that I could say that I can't even say that I didn't expect it, but it's just like, people tend to be so judgmental, and even more so I feel like I'm put under kind of a microscope now, if I even go out of the house and go to a restaurant, I just feel like people are always judging what I'm wearing, if I'm dressed appropriately, or who I'm supposed to be, and it's interesting because I'm not supposed to be who they think I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be who God said I am, and God said that this is the way he wants me to move and shake and and to appeal to a certain somebody, which is different than most people might get,
That is great because it's so true. Because now when you're in the spotlight, people expect you to be a certain way, especially sometimes for Christians that are listening, and we can be the worst. We have all these imaginations in our mind of how a person should be if we say we're a Christian, and we want them to live up to the character that we have in our own minds. And that's a blessing that you have been freed and delivered from that. And your career, I want to talk about your career. And I read that you started off in the industry at 4 years old, very young. So you're now considered like a veteran in the game, lady.
Yeah, shoot, by the grace of God, I just... I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, and it was a little bit racist up until I was about 13 to 14. And by then I was in homeschool and, was acting on a Nickelodeon TV show. And it's definitely been an experience. It's definitely been a journey, but it's been a blessing to work this long in this industry, and for me to also understand my purpose is to use my platform to build God's kingdom, and to and then, on the part that's just for him allowing me to do what makes me happy and feeds my soul as an actress,
Now, for you, I know that you've been in the industry for a while. What keeps you grounded in this business?
God, and being able to see firsthand, because I've been in it for so long, the rug pulled, right from underneath people. And for me to understand it's not about beauty, it's not about talent, it's not about who you know. It's, anytime that rug can be pulled from underneath you. So if you're not humble and if you don't understand it's way bigger than you, it's about God, then, you're not going to be able to last. And there's a lot of negative things that can come with it too. And there's a lot of trials and hard things that, you know, that I've been through personally, and I've seen others go through personally and publicly. And if you're not centered and you don't understand, it's not about Hollywood, it's not about money, it's not about status, it's not about accolades, it's not about any of that stuff. It's about building God's kingdom. That's what we're all ultimately supposed to do. That is the greater purpose of every human being outside of how God wants them to fulfill that purpose. And so, you know, you got to know that. If you don't know that, girl, you're up for a rude awakening.
You are not kidding. And that is the truth. You mentioned earlier about being a sex symbol, because we've watched you grow from Eve's Bayou all the way to where you are now. And you've just blossomed. I mean, beautiful face, the beautiful full lips, you know, beautiful hair. And how do you like being considered a sex symbol and a Christian all in one word? How does that make you feel?
You know, it's weird because I went from being, you know, an awkward teenager doing Eve's Bayou to, you know, Nickelodeon. And then as I grew into a young woman around 19, 20, 21, it was this fight to, like, prove I am a woman and I can be sexy and I am not a child anymore. I'm not that little girl from Eve's Bayou. And in doing that, you know, by the time you're 24, 25, and you're a full-blown sex symbol, then you're like, wait, I am not just a sex symbol. I am not just a face. I, you know, have talent beyond that, and I want opportunities and not just playing the girlfriend or the best friend role or, you know, playing the seductress or, the, you know, all those different things. And it's interesting because it wasn't until this year that I started to embrace, you know, well, one, I'm doing different things, so I'm excited about that, and I think that's given me more peace, especially with Infamous. And, you know, I'm doing action. Mm-hmm. The character's very tough. She's a full-on tomboy. She's not wearing anything sexy. It's not about anything that's doing her sex appeal. It's about her figuring out and solving the murder of her best friend. And she's very intelligent and very tactful. So I think that's brought some peace. But if people do consider me a sex symbol, and if they continue to consider me a sex symbol, because I understand, again, the woman that I'm sold to is the woman that's been cast out. It's the woman that's been told, you know, it's inappropriate for to love you. It's the woman that's been told that God's not going to love you because of what your past is, because of what you do for a living, you know, you've been through, because of your father sexually abused you, because you did this at this point in your life and you made a mistake, even though you're truly remorseful and you've been forgiven by God, you still haven't been forgiven by people. Appealed to the castaways and outcasts, and I like it now because I was that person, and I'm freed from it now. But I'm thankful that I can be so effective to someone who might not step foot in the church because they're afraid someone is going to be staring at them or looking straight through them. They know that I'm going to embrace them and that I'm going to love them. And when I'm telling them about God, there is no judgment in my spirit. And there is no judgment in my heart. And when I say I love them, rather I just met them on the street or in a supermarket, I mean it.
Amen.
You know?
That's a blessing. Are you moving? It sounds like your phone was kind of going out a little bit.
Oh, no. I got up for a second, but I sat back down.
Oh, okay. Okay. And now I want to talk about, now I read that you wanted to portray the late singer Aaliyah in a biographical film. Is that true? I
did. Initially, for a very long time, it was something that I was very passionate about and close to my heart. But I think I'm getting to the age now where I don't know, you know, if I could pull off her from 15 to, I believe she was 22 when she passed away. Mm-hmm. But I still want to see that story get made because I think that she was very classy, and you know, she was kind of a sex symbol too, but the way that she carried herself and the class and the respect and the way that young women looked up to her, and the way that she chose to empower herself as a woman, but chose to, you know, really truly just be classy about it and be comfortable in her own skin. I respected that, and I feel like young women need to see that story. They don't need to be, you know, having back shots and G-strings and dancing all upside down and videos and, you know, the music that influences this generation right now. It's really, really, really bad. It's telling our kids such a bad story of what to do and how to live and how to be cool and what's relevant and valuable. And I just think we need more stories like hers to help.
Wow. Well, I pray that you get a chance to produce that because you are doing a lot of things. You also have a girls group. You're producing a girls group. Tell me about the girls group that you're producing.
I have two girls groups. I have one that I'm in with my older sister and two of my best friends. We've been friends for, 15, 16 years. Of course, me and my sister have known each other our whole lives. And the kind of music that we do, it has a little bit of a punk rock feel. It's very edgy, but when you listen to the words, it's really all about empowering women. It's got a lot of Christian undertones in it. It's very fun. It's very in your face. It's very prissy, but it's classy, and it's about respecting yourself, loving yourself, approaching things a certain way, and just like not being afraid to kind of be a bad ASS without it being in the truest sense.
Wow. I saw one of your music videos too, with you and your sisters and your best friend. You guys are in a store, and then Pooch Hall's in it.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that video.
We wanted to have fun and just be really, really silly, And some people didn't get the video. They're like, why would you do that? Or what's going on with this or that? And I'm like, dude, don't take it so literally. Like, life is meant to, in some areas, have a little fun, lighten up, relax, take a chill pill.
Right. And not be so tense with life. And then you have, I think it's 4 young ladies that you're producing as well?
Yes. I have 4 younger girls. They're 15, 15, and 17 and 17. My youngest sister is in that group. And it's very exciting. Right now we're developing a reality show based around them and their mothers to document what it's like to pursue, this career in this industry with single moms and these balance that young girls have to balance in their teenage lives. And go after what they really want to do, and see their dreams come true.
Right.
And what I'm really trying to encourage them to do is to sing music that's popular, that will get kids' attention, and it can be fun, it can be about dancing, it could be about boys, it could be about any of that stuff. But overall, the message is, I have a song that they're getting ready to put out. It's a dance song. The video's getting ready to come out, and it's called Getting It on the Floor, Dancing on the Floor. But one of the main lines that goes throughout the chorus is, don't you be mistaken, my cookie jar ain't open. And so it's, it's about saying it's okay, like, let's be real. These teenagers, they're out there, they're dancing, they're getting it on the floor. They may be dancing seductively, but let's get what's important and valuable across. You need to keep it in your pants. You need to respect yourself as a young lady. You need to be unobtainable, not attainable,
I know that's right. Okay. Well, no, that's good. And you're producing a musical group, but let's talk about your producing movies. And you have a couple movies that I really like. Miles from Home was just off the chain to me.
Thank you.
After I finished watching Miles from Home, I literally jumped up, because you know how everybody's on Facebook, right? I literally jumped up and I emailed Ty Hodges on Facebook. I said, I know he got to be on Facebook to let him know that was great. Now, for those who want to see the movie, once I got past the cursing, because you kind of got to get past that, if you get the message in this movie, now who wrote the script?
Ty.
Oh, Ty wrote the script. Now, I don't know why he is not as acknowledged as he should be. He is a fantastic actor. That gentleman, hands down, need to be in more things. I had to ask him, are you in any other movies so I can go and rent them? Because he is fantastic.
Yeah, Ty is a brilliant, brilliant mind and a brilliant actor. And, he wrote, he directed, he produced, and he starred in Miles from Home. I produced and I co-starred in it with him. And, he really encouraged me to put my producer hat, him and my friend Jatari Turner. And after Miles from Home kind of became a cult classic, and people, even about the cursing or about how in your face it was or how edgy it was about presenting a real world.
Mm-hmm.
And in that world, yes, there is cursing. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is that. Yes, there is that. But the story, what was important was this guy is being pulled by the devil on his shoulder, which in essence is the devil in himself, and also is being pulled by the light, by God trying to pull him out of this lifestyle and out of this world by showing him, there is something else out there. There is somebody else who will love you for exactly who you are, and you don't have to be this person.
The one thing that I love that you guys did, you guys showed the steps of how we get caught up in things so quickly and how things are added on. When he went to the party, it was the smoking. First he was trying to be strong, and then all of a sudden you saw his flesh starting to break down and get weak and start giving in to peer pressure. I mean, you show it was a great movie for teens to see how it just starts in small little increments, from smoking and then drinking, and then before you know it, Tasha Smith's character, and it was just amazing how the whole thing just built up. And there was one part I really loved in there when him and Tasha was in the bed. And at first when he was, he had said no to the money. The moment he took the money, then that's when she offered him prostitution. But it wasn't until he took the money. She couldn't present him with the other part until he first said yes to the money and everything. The movie was great. I just could not believe it. Me and my husband, the only thing we could say was, wow. And you played the cutest, y'all. She played the cutest little character. Your character was so lovable, so bubbly, so free-willed. It was just cute.
Thank you.
Was that your idea? Because my husband just loved you, girl, in that movie. He said, you make sure you tell her I loved her. And I said, I will.
Oh, thank you.
You are so welcome.
That character, it was actually Ty's idea, and the way he was kind of trying to get me to act at first, because the idea initially was, let's create vehicles for us so we're playing characters that nobody's seen us do before and nobody knows that we can do. And so when he presented the character to me, I thought I understood her, and I kind of had my own idea going in. And he was like, no, I really want you to try this. I want you to try that. And I'm like, no, I feel stupid. I feel silly. And he's like, but that's the point. That's where she lives. And so once I grasped what he was saying, and I really just went into that space of being a little girl in a lot of ways, I truly am from my heart. And any of my friends who are very close to me know this about me. I am the silliest, goofiest, the worst telling jokes, person. And the purity, when he gave me allowed me the space to really tap into something inside of me that I haven't shown before, she just came to life, and I enjoyed coming to set every day and allowing her to just live, and whatever came out.
And it was fun, and I think it gave people just the freedom. When you're in the library, playing with them in the grocery store, it was like just have fun and just live. It was a great movie. So for those of you who have not seen the movie Miles from Home, Ty Hodges does an excellent job, just hands down. So I just had to give you guys kudos. Then you got the movie Video Girl with your sister Lamaya. Girl, now who were you really playing? Just between me and you, who was really that girl you was playing? Who was she?
I was playing a combination of a couple different girls that were in that video modeling industry. Tari Turner wrote the original script and came up with the idea of who she was and explained to me who these girls were, and showed me backstory on a couple of them, and we kind of compiled it together and created this character. And, we didn't want her to be the gold digger. We didn't want her to be the money-hungry girl, even though those girls have a story, too, as to why they are that way. But we wanted her to be the unassuming girl who just, didn't even want that, and kind of got caught up by feeling relevant and feeling like she was somebody, that she had something for herself, and how that can, especially in this city, spiral out of control, and the things you said you wouldn't do, you find yourself doing just in an attempt to make it and stay above water and to be relevant. And most of these girls don't know, that career is over by the time you're 30. And, what have you done to establish or have anything for yourself? And so I see so many girls coming here to LA, like, oh, I'm going to start being a video model and I'm being an actress. It's like, they don't know. I've seen only 3 girls actually successfully do that out of probably thousands.
Wow.
And it's tough, because people don't take you as seriously when they're looking at you and perceiving you a certain way. And I just wanted to create a cautionary story that was honest, so these girls can really see what they're kind of getting themselves into. And even if they're like, well, I'm not the one, ooh, it can be you. Wait until you're in the heat and the mix of the moment. And if you don't want it to be you, here's some information.
Okay. Then that was really good. The movie was great, and you told the story. And I could tell you have a very special relationship with your sister. Is that true? Because that really comes across.
Oh yeah, that is my heart. That's my ace and coon. That is just, I mean, we're very, very, very close. We're only a year and 11 months apart. So, yeah, she's just, I love her to death. She's, my everything in a lot of ways. I mean, also my husband is too, and my mom is too, but, all of our relationships are very different. And that's why I hope when I do have kids, I hope I have 2 little girls too, because I think women, they need a huge amount of guidance, and it's good to have, somebody else there who gets it.
What makes your relationship with her so special?
She doesn't judge me. And she's my biggest supporter, and she keeps it so honest and so real with me. And she's a real person. She's not excited about this industry. She's not excited about any of the things that are going on with me, except for if I'm happy and is my spirit feeling okay. She's got my back. She's my ride or die thing, and the feeling is just very, very mutual. And she's just a good, strong person. When I look at her, she represents so much strength to me, and somebody who also has been through a lot of things that I can look up to, And she has no problem saying that she looks up to me too, and empowers me. And so it's an excellent relationship.
Wow, that's beautiful. I mean, to have that sisterly bond, because, you have some sisters that don't get along too well, but I can really see that relationship with you and your sister. That's beautiful. Meagan, what are some of the misconceptions people have about you when they think of Meagan Good?
Oh, gosh. People often tell me when they meet me, like, wow, I didn't think you were going to be this nice. I thought you were going to be stuck up. Or like, oh, yeah. Or people are like, well, I didn't know you were this goofy, or you were that, silly, or I know that you were just loving, or like, I just had my first directorial debut yesterday, and I directed my little cousin's music video. It was an awesome, awesome experience, like a gift from God. I was so hyped, and I'm still on like cloud 12 today. And the young lady that I worked with, Logan Browning, she, hit me up today, and she said, look, I'm so appreciative that I got a chance to work with you, and you just gave me so many pearls and so much wisdom, and, your heart is just really sweet, and you're just so loving, and I hope I can be a part of you guys' family. And, and it just made me so good to know that I had such a positive effect on a woman that's younger than me, that is talented and beautiful, and that I could support her and help her and lift her up,
Wow. You did a movie with a bunch of actors your age. It's called Dysfunctional Friends. I mean, people from Clueless, Smart Guy, City Guys, The Game, Girlfriends. How did that movie come together? Because Datari Turner, he is just doing some things. Of course, he's a great actor as well. How did you get it looked like all of you guys might have been friends before you even did this movie. How did you all come together to do the movie Dysfunctional Friends?
It's a community. It's interesting because, I was looking at my friend's home video a couple years back, and he had a home video of his barbecue. And as I'm looking at the tape go through, I'm seeing Tyson Bedford, I'm seeing Tisha Campbell, I'm seeing Jada Pickett, I'm seeing Tamia, I'm seeing Vivica Fox, I'm seeing Heavy D, all these people who all knew each other back when they were 20, 19 years old, all hanging out at this barbecue. None of them established yet, none of them on yet, none of them who we come to know them as yet. And it was interesting, everybody's teeth were different hairstyles, different shapes and sizes, before they had been presented to the public as now. And I thought it was interesting because I'm like, wow, it's the same thing with our community. I've known, Marcus Houston and Nick Cannon and, Omarion and, Keisha Cole and Khloe Kardashian and all these people. We've all been friends since, some of us since 10 years old, 11 years old, Ray J, Brandy, and some of us since 16, 19, 20, like Kim Kardashian and Kourtney, and people don't know that we don't only just know each other, we used to spend the night at each other's house. We used to go to dinner together. We used to put our money together to pay for dinner when we couldn't all afford it. So it wasn't hard to put that cast together because we've all known each other for so long. People just don't know that it's a community of struggling actors, and, we all get on in our own season, in our own time, but we all still know each other.
Wow. So that's why, because it seemed to me just in the movie, all of you kind of like knew each other and was like, okay, let's do this movie, you know, because we know each other, but you felt that it came across that way. So yeah, I think it did what it's probably was supposed to do besides the dysfunctional part. But it just seems like
Right.
a community of people that kind of got together. But it's really nice to see all of you, you know, making your own way in the world. I talked to, Wesley, I mix his name up. Wesley Jonathan, I call him, you know, Sweetness from Roll Bounce.
Right.
Just love him, you know, and even when I spoke with him, but just seeing all of you all grow in your careers and see where you're going and see where you're taking off to. Of course, we know he's in Soul Man, but it's just really a blessing just from a woman that's just a tad bit older than y'all, you know, just to say, it's just really nice to see that. Now, Meagan, with you, I just wanted to learn some things, just a few things about you. What's your favorite food?
Oxtails.
What?
My mom's homemade. Oh yeah, I get on some oxtails, man.
Okay.
My mom's homemade mac and cheese, and I love tacos.
Okay. Now, and who's your favorite actress?
My favorite actress, I have a couple. Angela Bassett's definitely one of them. Charlize Theron is definitely one of them. That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
Did you see?
Oh, Meryl Streep.
Did you see Charlize Theron and Snow White and the Huntsman?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
girl knows
I
she's
love-
the bomb.
She's the bomb. I love how she took a character that people have played so plain, and so, you know, uninteresting. And they're so conflicted and so interesting, and the vulnerability that you felt, you almost cared for her. You wish that she was a bad guy. You almost just felt bad for her, you know?
That girl, it hands down, when we left the movie theater with our kids, I'm like, that girl, and the only thing I kept saying walking to the car, bring me her heart. I mean, you felt all of that when she said that, hands down. Angela Bassett, of course, she is just fantastic. If you had the opportunity to work with anyone, now I know you worked with Angela Bassett from Jumping the Broom. If you had the opportunity to work with anyone, who would it be?
Oh, man. I'd really love to work with Halle Berry. I think she's incredibly talented. I think that people don't give her enough credit because she's so beautiful, and people forget that she's just a really good actress. She also has inspired me in a lot of ways. A lot of the obstacles that I've faced, I've seen her face, and that gives me strength to know here is a woman who's overcome, you know, being a sex symbol, and here is a woman who said, you know what, if you're not going to give me this role, this opportunity, I'm just going to produce my own film.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman who empowers other women, who's dealt with a lot of scrutiny as well. And I just have so much respect for her, and I met her a week before my wedding at this restaurant, and I just walked up to her and I told her everything I saw, and you have no idea how much you've inspired me and you've influenced me and how beautiful you are and what an amazing actress you are. And I'm just thankful, like, to have this moment right now. And I got emotional, and she just was, and she put her arms out for me to hug her, and we hugged, and, you know, she was like, thank you so much. And you could just tell she meant it from her soul, like, she was appreciative for what I was saying. She really received me.
Wow.
So,
well, Halle, she is a great actress, and not just that, but just absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. And her acting supersedes that to me as well.
yeah.
And what's your favorite Bible verse?
Oh, gosh. Proverbs 31, a virtuous woman.
Go ahead, girl. All right. And I want to know, before we go, Meagan, when people think of Meagan Good, what would be the legacy you want to leave behind? What would you want people to say about Meagan Good?
I would want people to say that she truly, truly loved God, and that she wasn't perfect, but that she had such a heart for God, and she had such a heart for other human beings, that she gave everything that she could give, that she put other people first, that she was a fantastic wife, fantastic sister, fantastic daughter, fantastic friend. I want people to say that I gave 100%, and I loved a lot, and I made people who feel like they were unlovable, that they were the most beloved, and that I made people who felt like they couldn't come to God know that they were God's favorite, you know?
That's beautiful. And can we expect any little children running around here soon?
Not soon. You
Just
know,
thought I'd ask.
if it was up to me, I'd say like 3 or 4 years. If it was up to me, if it was up to Devon, he'd be like, "Let's wait 10 years."
Okay.
No, but not for real though. I mean, we both definitely got the bug. I mean, we're always picking up someone's kid and hugging and kissing on them and that kind of thing. But I don't think either one of us are ready yet. But if it was to happen, we would be really excited.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want to thank you so much, Meagan, for just coming on and just sharing yourself with us and letting us know just a little bit more about you. I just really appreciate that. And I know God is going to continue to bless you. Can't wait to see the show Infamous, too. Looking forward to seeing that with you and handsome Laz Alonso.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited, too. I've known Laz for years, and it's just fun to get to work together again. We've done Stomp the Yard, we've done Jumping the Broom, and now we're doing Infamous, and you know, the rest of the cast is just awesome, and the director's awesome, and I get to work with Casey Lemons again. She's going to direct one of the episodes. I'm excited about that. You know, I'm excited about this character. It's interesting because, you know, before me and Devon, so those last couple of years, you know, even though I was very, very in tune with God, I wasn't being completely obedient in everything in every way that I was moving. Mm-hmm. And God gave me a lot of grace and He sustained me, but He let me know, I'm not liking everything that you're doing right now. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I want you to do things differently. And when I made the commitment to Him and to put down everything that was not the direction He wanted me to go in, 3 years that I was dormant, that people were like, well, what's going on with her? And, you know, it looks like she fell off and oh, well, blah, blah. God gave me every single one of those years back so quick and so fast within a matter of 5 to 7 months. He made my career excel the way that it would have excelled over the course of 3 years in just that short period of time.
Well, that's the kind of God we serve. If people can really get, if the audience, if you don't take away anything from today, just take away from this interview with Miss Meagan Good is your obedience. And obedience is better than sacrifice. But if you're obedient to God's word, He will bless you. I promise you He will, because He already said it in His word. So it's already a promise He made to you. And Meagan, if I don't get anything from your testimony, it's just the testimony of obedience is what, you know, that helps us get our blessings when we just say yes to the Lord and we deny ourselves, because He's going to bless us 100-fold if we just do what He tells us to do. Thank you for sharing that with us today.
And I just want to say one more thing. I just want everyone to remember that our obedience is not just about us. There's so many other people who will be our obedience. Sometimes other people's blessings and life-changing experiences are tied into us being obedient with God alone. So,
amen. Amen. That was beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, girl. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you.